Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a woman named Adobe. She was known for her beauty and grace, but her heart was heavy with sorrow. Adobe had a daughter named Chika, who was born blind. The villagers whispered about the misfortune that had befallen Adobe, and some even suggested that the blindness was a curse on her family. The villagers gathered, murmuring amongst themselves about the misfortune that had struck Adobe and her family. Their whispers are filled with a mix of concern and superstition. One villager said, "Did you hear about Adobe's daughter? They say she has gone blind. It must be a curse on our family." Another villager responded, "Yes, I heard. It's not just bad luck. It's a sign of something deeper. Her father always had a quarrel with the spirits." The third villager said, "It's tragic, but in our family such misfortunes often come from the ancestors. We should be careful or it might touch our families too." As Chika grew, Adobe struggled to cope with the challenges of raising a blind child. She loved Chika dearly, but the constant stares and whispers from the villagers wore her down. "Why must I suffer this shame?" she often thought to herself. The burden of caring for Chika became too much for her to bear. Every time Chika cried, Adobe felt a wave of panic wash over her. She struggled to soothe her, but her need seemed endless. The feeling of helplessness grew as she realized she couldn't always figure out what she needed, and that frustration was exhausting. The sleepless nights piled up. Chika would wake up multiple times, needing to be fed or comforted. Adobe found herself dozing off during the day, unable to keep her eyes open, which made it even harder to care for her properly. Adobe started to notice that her friends no longer invited her to gatherings. They didn't understand how isolating it felt to be homebound with Chika. The loneliness deepened, and she felt like she was losing touch with the world outside. Financial strain became a significant issue, with the cost of special care and medical supplies for Chika. Adobe found herself stressed about money. She had to cut back on her own needs, which left her feeling drained and resentful. The emotional toll was heavy. Adobe often felt guilty for wishing a moment of peace or freedom from her responsibilities. The constant guilt made her feel trapped as she was falling both herself and Chike. One fateful day, she made a decision that would haunt her for years. In the dead of night, under the cover of darkness, Adobe took Chika into the forest. The moonlight barely illuminated their path as they walked deeper into the woods. Chika, sensing her mother's unease, asked, "Mama, where are we going?" "To a place where you can be free, my child," Adobe replied, her voice trembling. "You will be happier here." But Chika, feeling the cold breeze and the damp earth beneath his feet, sensed that something was wrong. "Mama, I am scared. Please don't leave me." With a heavy heart, Adobe knelt down beside her daughter. "I love you, Chika, but I cannot care for you anymore. You must learn to survive on your own." Tears streamed down her face as she placed Chika on the ground, kissed her forehead, and ran back through the trees, leaving her daughter alone in the darkness. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into years. Chika learned to navigate the forest using her other senses. She listened to the rustling leaves, the chirping birds, and the flowing river nearby. She found food and water, and though she missed her mother, she grew strong and resilient. The forest became her home, and she learned to trust in herself. Meanwhile, Adobe's life took a different turn. She moved away from the village, hoping to escape the shame of abandoning her daughter. But no matter where she went, the guilt gnawed at her heart. She tried to find happiness, but it always eluded her. What have I done? She would whisper to herself in the quiet of the night. I left my child alone. Years later, Adobe returned to the village, now a weary woman, burdened by regret. She heard stories of a girl who lived in the forest, a girl who had survived against all odds. The villagers spoke to her with a mix of admiration and pity. She's a wild child, they said, but she has the spirit of a lion. Determined to find Chika, Adobe ventured into the forest, her heart pounding with fear and hope. What will I say to her? She wondered. How can I ask her for her forgiveness? As she walked deeper into the woods, memories flooded her mind. The sound of Chika's laughter, the warmth of her embrace, and the innocence in her eyes. Finally, after hours of searching, Adobe heard a soft voice singing. She followed the sound until she found Chika sitting by the river, her head tilted back as she sang to the sky. The sight of her daughter, now a young woman, filled Adobe with a mix of joy and sorrow. Chika, she called softly. Chika turned her head, her face lighting up with recognition. Mama? She asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Is it really you? Tears streamed down Adobe's face as she stepped closer. I am sorry, my child. I made a terrible mistake. Can you ever forgive me? Chika's heart ached at the sight of her mother, but she had learned to be strong. You left me, Mama. You abandoned me when I needed you the most. I know, Adobe said, her voice trembling. I was weak. I thought I was doing what was best for you, but I was wrong. I have regretted my decision every day since. Chika paused, her mind racing. I had to learn to survive without you. The forest became my home, and I found my strength. But your absence hurts me deeply. I can never take back what I did, Adobe said, her voice breaking. But I want to make it right. I want to be part of your life again. Chika considered her mother's words. It won't be easy, Mama. Trust is hard to rebuild, but I'm willing to try. The two women embraced in that moment. The weight of the past began to lift. They spent hours talking, sharing stories of their lives apart. Adobe learned of Chika's resilience, her ability to adapt and thrive in the forest. Chika listened to her mother as she narrates how hard it was for her to leave, because her heart was filled with guilt, and ever since, sleep eluded her. Adobe promised her daughter Chika never to leave her side again. They both lived happily ever after.